Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on a portion of a sunny day amidst all the rain we've been having here in Exeter. You are here for the What Life is Really Like at RiverWoods. We have some wonderful residents here who have volunteered to regale you with all sorts of information about their experiences here at RiverWoods. I'm waiting a little bit as I'm noticing a lot of participants are just getting on live now. So we'll just wait for everybody to join us and then we can get started with our program. Two of our residents are actually in Florida right now, so they're enjoying sunshine.
And they promised to bring it.
Next Saturday, about 5 o'clock, the skies will open and the sun will come out. So
Oh, great. To welcome you guys.
Okay, it looks like everybody might be here that for now. So I'd again like to welcome everybody to our resident panel. The title is What Life is Really Like here at RiverWoods, and we have four wonderful residents who have volunteered to give us their experiences that they've had, basically starting from getting the call to come here and going through the whole process and now living here and what their experiences are here really what they're like now. I'd like to start a little bit with some housekeeping options here and also just to tell you a little bit about us before they begin. You are all on mute and so you'll be hearing the residents speaking. We won't be hearing any of you. But feel free, we are always very willing to answer any questions that you may have. So I suggest that you may want to submit your questions towards the end of the program because our residents will be covering a lot of information and giving you a lot of wonderful information along the way. The questions can be put through our Q&A, which is at the bottom of your screen. And as always, we're always looking for suggestions on how we can improve our programs. And also if you have any other ideas for future topics, we'd love to hear them. Just to give you a little intro on RiverWoods Exeter or RiverWoods as our community, we are actually not considered real estate. We're considered an insurance product. And so we are monitored by the state of New Hampshire. Our financials, our performance is also reported to our state annually. You have the ability to really prepay. You're considered you're prepaying medical expenses. So a portion of your entrance fee and monthly fee is tax deductible. And a life care community is also a lifestyle choice. So you actually enter in as an independent resident. So you make that choice on your own. You have your freedom from maintenance chores and home maintenance. You have the ability to have transportation here when and if you need it. You are also able to enjoy a lot of social opportunities here, as well as be a part of any of the activities, programs, and educational programs that we have here. The best part is that you are in control of your own decisions and your own life. So when you make this decision, it's your decision, not somebody else's. I always want to talk about our founders, Mariana Hatch and Rosemary Coffin. Their original dream was created around one of their kitchen tables. Mariana Hatch lived in Durham, Rosemary Coffin in Exeter. And their vision, they started planning in the early 1900s with a goal of building a community where they could meet new friends, get involved in causes they cared about, and not worry about their future healthcare needs or any of the things that they had to be responsible for in their homes. Obviously, their idea was to create a community and peace of mind for all their residents here. Well, that dream took off, and today, actually 30 years later, we have a dynamic family of communities, starting here in Exeter with our Woods, Ridge, and Boulders communities. Also, eventually bringing on our RiverWoods Manchester and our RiverWoods Durham communities. And so Mariana was able to reach her vision of having a community also in Durham, almost 35 years after they started their planning. All of our communities share the same values and are advised by a volunteer board of operations. That is our CCRC board, which is a governing body for all existing communities. And our CCRC board is all volunteer. It does consult with our system CEO, Justine Vogel, who also consults with our system board, which is more focused on the mission and future growth of RiverWoods. We are supported by our RiverWoods group, which provides professional fee-based services to support each of our communities, including finance, information technology, human resources, marketing, and quality. The system board actually funds the at-risk portion of our projects and communities and our new ventures. And our communities are all financially independent and each have our own annual opportunities to provide funding to the RiverWoods group. Now I can move on to our panel today. We have Pam, who will begin the presentation. She grew up in New York City, holds a degree in child development from New York University, and she has spent her career fundraising for nonprofits and has her own former foundation, FAVA, the Foundation for Albanian Visual Arts. Pam lived in Albania with her husband, Jeffrey Griffin, for 10 amazing years. She also worked as a director of admissions at the Nightingale Bamford School prior to her move to Connecticut and Bethesda, Maryland. She moved into the woods from Rockport, Mass. In 2023. Bonnie and Carol join us, and they're the ones joining us from Florida. Bonnie is the current director of the Exeter Trust Company and Chancellor Emeritus of the Community College System of New Hampshire. And previously, Bonnie was a trustee at Exeter Hospital, founding director of the Lumina Foundation for Education, and was vice chair of the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. Carol worked for more than 40 years as human resource executive for higher education, nonprofit, and for-profit companies. She obtained her Bachelor of Science in Political Science from Northeastern University. And Carol and Bonnie are avid golfers and enjoy travel, reading, and civics. And they moved to the Ridge campus from Newcastle, New Hampshire in 2024. Sheila and Dick Condon, Sheila grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire. She got her first degree in nursing from Northeastern also, then a Bachelor of Science from Roger Williams University, and has worked in various aspects of nursing, and then became a vascular technologist and ran a cardiovascular peripheral vascular laboratory, which became the first accredited lab in Rhode Island. Dick was born in Surrey, England, and received an engineering degrees from Northeastern and Brown University and an MBA from the University of Rhode Island. He has worked in various engineering roles, was the founding member of Technology in Medicine, Inc., and held several director positions at Massachusetts Eye and Ear in Boston. Just to let you know, I'm going to get rid of this shared screen. So I want to just let you know of some upcoming programs before we start this one. The next one is on June 26th, Thursday, from 1 to 2 p.m. And a definitely interesting topic that everybody's kind of focused on nowadays, protecting yourself from scams. So it's particularly an important topic for all of us here. And then I did want to also introduce to you a new program that we have going on here at RiverWoods, an exciting new program from our community to kind of reach out to our outside community. It is a subscription service for older adults and caregivers. So We're proud to introduce a brand new service designed to help individuals and families navigate the world of aging and senior care. So this is an ongoing mission of ours to kind of extend beyond our doors and make an impact on our greater community. Whether you're looking for help with home care, meal delivery, healthcare, or finding trusted local resources, our Naviguide service is here to make your life easier with a dedicated service coordinator. Her name is Amanda Kelly, and she will work closely with you one-on-one to support you and find. It is a monthly fee-based service, but she will help you find the services that you need. And then after the program is over, I will ask you to submit your questions in the question and answer box, and I will run through those and ask our residents after they've completed their presentation some questions that you have for them. It's a great opportunity for you to ask residents directly. So now I will turn this over to our first presenter, Pam, and I think we can go move forward. Thanks, Pam.
Hello. And Chrissy was kind enough to call us participants today wonderful residents. I would call us very lucky residents. It's been an amazing short time I've been here. Archie and I arrived at RiverWoods in September 2023. And we are now both happily aging together at RiverWoods. He is an almost 11-year-old lad. He's not my husband. And I just turned 80 years. So actually, I have to tell you, I think that I am growing younger as my time here in this amazing community. It's so lively. Many lovely dogs welcome, even cats. I have seen a couple cats recently on leashes, if you can imagine, but many of them like to stay at home. But this community is so lively and full of happy people who are interested in exploring new things and new friends. Before I tell you about some of these activities that are here, and there are so many of them, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I moved here and how it happened about, I guess, a year and a half ago now. It was a gradual move, and I moved, as Chrissy mentioned earlier, from DC after my husband died. And I moved to a place closer to my family who are in Salem, Mass. And that was a wonderful thing to do for about 5 years. So I made a gradual move. And I do suggest that is wonderful because it's difficult. It's not to gloss it over. A move is difficult. You're getting rid of so many things. You must downsize. And once you do it, well, there's a certain freedom to it that is wonderful. You don't have to worry when you travel. I mean, there's so many aspects of it that are great. So I am finding this new life here at RiverWoods, and I enjoy doing so many things from golfing. I noticed that Carolyn and Bonnie love to golf, so I'm hoping that they join in on that venture. I do a wonderful poetry group on Saturdays. We don't write it. We read wonderful poets from, I don't know, T.S. Eliot to Wendell Berry to Deborah Cummins, and we discuss. And everybody has, different backgrounds and thought with literature. So it's very fun. Then, of course, I love swimming. And aren't we so lucky to have a beautiful pool, or two or three. One is being changed now a little bit because it needs some updates. But the other two are just marvelous. And it's so great. Quite often, I like to do laps. So quite often, there's no one there. But there are also times when it's packed full with, what do you call it, water aerobics. People love to do that here. And there are so many exercise choices here. You couldn't do them all, from uh, uh, doing, getting ready for golf, to strengthen strengthen balance. I know is another very popular one I'm thinking of joining soon. Um, and then, of course, there are things like uh, uh, dancing. People love to dance. It sometimes it's just a single person, sometimes it's a couple. So that's fun. And then next to us is the wonderful, as you probably all know, Phillips Exeter Academy. Oh my goodness, the things that are offered there, and you just at the drop of a hat, you can go over and be part of the public at some of the. I've been enjoying the concerts. The student concerts are phenomenal, and they come from all over the world. So, I mean, I've learned about new instruments I never even heard of, such as, what was it, a tam tam I wrote down. It's a 7th century instrument from China. And then there was a vina, which is an ancient also instrument that was being played by a young woman, uh, that's from India. So there's just so many. Oh, and then there's a hiking group that I love. Not to mention, last year I enjoyed, because I lived overseas, I suppose, but I've always been interested in the international world. I lived overseas, as Chrissy mentioned, in Albania for 10 years. And I love foreign policy issues. And there was a group here, and it continues, called The Great Decisions. And of course, it's run by one of our fabulous residents, Gary Richardson. And it was about everything you can. I mean, it was 6 or 7 sessions, from environmental issues to political, to what I loved the most, because I had never known much about it. We learned about the country of Indonesia, and what is happening there is truly amazing. They're designing a new capital. It's really a coming new country, is what I learned. So, and then, to tell you a little bit more about Archie, my dog, he loves the trails here. He is a happy camper, and he also visits with people in assisted living, which is so nice. They love it when he comes over. They love to have dogs to say hello to and pet. So that is his life as well. And then, we're so close to Portsmouth. So we have wonderful group travels to Portsmouth. A bunch of us will go over to the repertory theater over there. Oh, I could go on and on. I mean, there's so much to do, you couldn't possibly fit it in. And people here are just so friendly. It's lovely. Now, I've overdone my time, I suspect.
No, you did a fabulous job, Pam. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll have lots of questions for you later. But I will now turn it over to Bonnie and Carol and see what they'd like to share with you.
Well, thanks very much, Chrissy. We appreciate the opportunity to tune in today from our home in Florida to share a little bit about what our experience, let's get this camera straight, what our experience has been. And we're among the newer residents at RiverWoods. Carol and I moved from our home in the idyllic town of Newcastle, New Hampshire, almost a year ago. It was June of 2024. when we made the leap from Newcastle to Exeter. And despite missing Newcastle terribly, quite honestly, we haven't looked back and are enjoying tremendously life in our cozy cottage at the Ridge at RiverWoods and making wonderful new friends. I think in listening to Pam, you get an example of the eclectic nature of residents at RiverWoods. It really has been an amazing community to come into, and we couldn't be happier with our decision. Let me share a little bit about why we made the decision to uproot ourselves and move from the coast a little bit inland to Exeter. Primarily as we looked forward after our own eclectic careers, which allowed us to not only live and travel throughout the world, but to experience some extraordinary folks along the way. We began to anticipate what life would be like as we aged. Hardly seemed possible that we had gotten to become septuagenarians, and but the reality was upon us. And I, in particular, had been watching RiverWoods for a long time. A good portion of my career had been spent at the University of New Hampshire in Durham, and I was very fortunate to have as colleagues and friends John and Mariana Hatch. And as Chrissy mentioned in her introduction, Mariana was one of the founders of RiverWoods, and it was at her kitchen table that the concept really was born. So over 30 plus years, I watched from a distance as Mariana and others brought this dream to reality, and I was quite impressed with what I saw. And over the decades, a number of other colleagues chose to live at RiverWoods, and we're very, very happy there. So as Carol and I discussed next steps for getting older, RiverWoods was certainly one of the options that we were going to look at. And I must admit that we looked at other options, and at the end of the day, decided that RiverWoods had all of the elements that we were looking for. And primary among those was peace of mind, knowing that we would be in an environment where we would be safe, where we could be healthy, where we could be active, and where we could be part of a living, dynamic community. And I have to say that, just short of the 1 year where we've been residents, they have delivered in spades. So we wanted a plan, we now have a plan, and we're able to sort of look at the future with a good deal of comfort, knowing that we will be in good hands and that we will be full participants in the various decisions that may come our way. One of the other elements that we were looking at as we evaluated the various options that were out there was proximity to quality healthcare, should we need it. As Chrissy mentioned in the introduction, I had the privilege at one point in my career of being on the board at Exeter Hospital. So I was very familiar with that particular institution, and I'm happy to share that I continue to believe that they provide not only high quality, but extraordinary care to patients throughout their system. They've recently affiliated with Brigham Lahey out of Boston, so the proximity to a major world-class health center in Boston, and all that it has to offer is also part of the formula. Was also important to us that we have access to good transportation hubs. And as you know, Exeter is ideally located, at least from our perspective. It's just an hour north of Boston. We're only 10 miles from the coast. We're only an hour's drive from New Hampshire's spectacular White Mountains and all they have to offer. And there is a very good public transportation network. There is train from Exeter that goes north up to Maine. You can make trips to the LL Bean facility in Freeport, Maine, or go on to Brunswick, or you can go south to Boston and then have access to everything that Boston has to offer. Whether it's medical care, arts, and other cultural shopping activities, and an international transportation network out of Logan Airport. We also have 2 airports within close proximity to Exeter. In Portsmouth at the former Pease Air Force Base, we've got a wonderful airport with service to Florida and to North Carolina. Also in Manchester, at the Manchester airport, you can travel nonstop to New York, to points west in the United States, and certainly south to Florida. Our commute to our home in Florida is quite easy from Exeter. It's about a 2.5-hour flight from Portsmouth, and before we know it, we're there. And Carol's giving me the high sign, but I can't leave before I talk about the pastoral setting. Pam mentioned that she and Archie enjoy the hundreds of acres that compose the RiverWoods campus, and it really is quite idyllic. But at the end of the day, what it's mostly about are the people. And I have to say that the residents that we've met, our neighbors, and the staff at RiverWoods far exceeded any expectation that we had. It is just a terrific community with extraordinarily competent people who are there to work with the residents and help provide us an environment that, as I said earlier, is not only secure and safe, but one that not only allows us, but encourages us to continue to be active and to grow. So a year into our experience, as I evaluate our decision, I think we caught it just right, and I couldn't be happier. But I'm sure Carol will give you her perspective, which is a little different than mine.
Yeah, it is indeed. So to Bonnie's point, we meaning more her than me, decided we needed a plan, but we, being people with no children, knew that we didn't want to become a burden on anyone. And I know that many people who are at RiverWoods say that they're there because it's a gift to their children. And having dealt recently with other family members who have needed a lot of help, it's a wonderful gift to give people by being here, and that they're not worried about you as well. Between the time that we got the call and came up in February and had the test and were approved to become members of the community, I sadly had a very bad fall, and it's still taking me now 14 months later to recuperate. But it couldn't have been more fortuitous for me to be able to move into RiverWoods and have the quality of care that I received almost on day one. And it was both a gift to me to be able to have the quality of care and the wonderful indoor pool, as Pam indicated, to help in my recovery. But it also took a huge burden off of Bonnie, because when we were here, she would have to drive me, wait for me as I went in to have my PT, and then drive me home. So what should have been an hour visit became a 3-hour activity. So, I felt that we both benefited greatly with the resources that exist. I can't really say enough about these young women in particular who helped me through a very difficult period. Having been in human resources for more years than I can even believe, I am just so impressed at the quality of staff here. And I will make a special effort to go and congratulate the HR director on site, because boy, have they really, got great people skills. They're empathetic, they're professional, they're kind, they're friendly. And it really is just so refreshing every day to be interacting with people that are of such a high caliber. So I would, my hat goes off to that process. Sort of on a more lighter note, but important, is I would want to call out the food service here is terrific. We actually have sort of a cute story that we share with our friends, which is that we had decided when we were moving into our cottage that we wanted to upgrade our stove because we liked a particular stove. And it was made clear that if you go out of the path of what they provide, you're going to be responsible for it. And we say, oh no, it's that important to us. Well, I think we could count how many eggs we've boiled on the stove because we no longer are inclined to cook. The food has been so terrific. So, we learned our lesson. But if ever you need a fancy stove to use, we have one that sits idly by as we use the dining services. It's an adjustment, as any change is an adjustment, but I have to tell you, as Bonnie and others have said, Pam, and I'm sure the rest was, that it has met and exceeded our expectations by a lot. And I'm, happy that we were asked to be a part of this because I think we do represent well how most people feel that are here. On that note, I will hand the baton back to Chrissy.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much, Bonnie and Carol, for sharing your experiences here. And last but not least, we have Sheila and Dick, and they live in our Boulders campus, so they have some things to share as well. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, we decided, we lived in Rhode Island for many years. I grew up in Manchester, but and for 8 years, I was an only child. And for 8 years, I drove up to Manchester once a week to check on my folks. We don't have a big family. My dad was an only child. My mother had one half sister who lived halfway across the country. So we have 2 daughters, and Dick's parents lived in Rhode Island. So he sort of did most of the work with them. And, I'm back and forth to New Hampshire all the time. And we decided that if we didn't do something for ourselves, we really couldn't ask our kids to do what we had done. It worked for us. And so anyway, we were thinking, and it was a past presidential election, and our ex-governor was running for president. And nobody much cared for him. He was only elected once. And he made the front page of our newspaper, and it said that he had spoken at RiverWoods, and some people said he really had some good things to say. And it was like, what the heck is RiverWoods? So I Googled RiverWoods, and we started looking into it. And then we had 3 parents die in one calendar year, January, July, and December. And that was sort of one thing that sort of pushed us. So we started looking around. We certainly looked here, but there's one about 3 miles from where our daughter lives in Maryland. I really didn't want to live in Maryland. And we never even mentioned to her that we looked at this place. And because she kept saying, "Oh, you could move in with us." And I can love my daughter from afar better than living with her. So anyway, we decided to look here. We decided that once we definitely knew we were moving here, and we knew it was going to be a good few years. I think they originally said 7 years. And so we decided to sell the house that we'd been living in, that we actually built. And we found an apartment about 10 blocks away. So it wasn't like it was a huge move, but it did mean we had to downsize quite a bit. The apartment was the same size as the apartment we have here. And so we learned what we needed and what we didn't need. So that worked out quite nicely. And then we got, and the landlord that we had was wonderful. He said, when we explained what was happening, he said, "Fine, just give me a month or two so I can rent it," which worked quite nicely. So we certainly let him know as soon as we had a date to move in here. And our house sold right away, and we were just pleased to be able to plan to come here.
An intermediary step that we took to be in an apartment in Providence while we still had our close relationships there proved to be a good step on our part. We then learned better ourselves on how to live in a smaller space, but then live in connection with folks who are around us. The moving company did a great job to get us here, and we had a tremendous help internally from the folks at RiverWoods on how to lay out our apartment so that we could have some parts of it that were standard and other parts that we were able to, pay a few extra dollars just to get it changed, but it made a difference for us in how we moved into it. And we've been satisfied over that over the years. So that end of it worked out well. We got here. A few months later, COVID really hit, and we were in isolation. And so now we had to learn a whole different way of dealing with things.
Especially each other.
And we're still together, so that's a good thing. But it did bring a lot of things together that way. And what we also learned was that the management here in their food service and their care and all of that sort of thing could respond to that kind of a drastic change. So they were flexible enough to make sure that we had a good, safe place to live while that is all going on. You could probably dig up statistics on it and all like that, but there was nobody here at RiverWoods in Exeter that passed away from COVID during that major times, and we were all under lockdown. So that convinced us in many other ways of doing it. And as Sheila said, we did learn how to live with each other even better, which was good. The facility and its operations, I find, is very, I wouldn't say fluid, but I would say that it's looking forward so that they can respond to how business in healthcare and care that you get through a place like RiverWoods is being changed. There is significant participation by the residents in that process. And so that makes it worth the while of being able to guide where this is going to be going in the future. And I think we're doing a pretty good job along that line also. So in that context, this has been a move in our lives, a move to get to know other people who are in the similar states of that. I was out to coffee with a half a dozen guys this morning, and we were picking up on the different things that are going on and around the world and around Exeter and New Hampshire. And it's an educational, it's, enthusiastic responses to a lot of things. So not getting away and cramping yourself into a little place here at all. What instead you are is opening yourself up to an experience with a whole lot of other people who are around here. And as been said before, Exeter Academy and all of that sort of stretch on what's happening. Going into Boston is easy. We're going to go on a trip soon ourselves. It's a place to be able to do that and know that when you come back, it's going to be here, it's going to be in good shape, and we will be looking forward to sharing our experiences with, I would say, is our older family now.
And there are lots of opportunities to get involved here. We're somebody we're on the welcoming committee. So, and it just happens that on our floor, a lot of apartments have turned over. We've been here 6 years, but there were a lot of people who were here since the beginning, and Boulders has been open for 15 years. And so a lot of them have aged, some more gracefully than others, but they've moved over to the assisted living area. And every single one of them who really didn't want to move over there has now said, you just wouldn't believe how nice they are over there, and they'll do anything for you. And, so as far as hoping you wouldn't need a lot of help going older, as you get older, it's there for you. So let's see, I'm on the welcoming committee. I'm on charitable funds. We give a lot of money. People are very generous here. And you're not allowed to tip anyone here. But there's one committee that just raises money. And at Christmas time, it's divided to all the people who work here, depending on how many hours they work, and including the kids that work in the dining rooms. And the charitable funds also provides money when they graduate from high school to wherever they're going for college or other things. We had one woman who was going to hairdressing school, which was extremely expensive. So anyway, we were happy to be able to help her. The children, it used to be just the children of people who work here who were going to school, and now it's the grandchildren, because this place has been here for such a long time that their kids have had kids. Once you're here, you will always be here. If for some reason you run out of money, they're able to, there's an amount of money that's put aside. And I think the last time we had a meeting, there were 3 people. I do not know who they are. No one mentions anyone's name, but some people have been here for a very long time. And so that's something to remember. So anyway, and that's just a couple of committees here. This morning I had an events planning committee. So we try to reach out and have people come in and put on programs for us. And then there's another program for people who live here who explain what they have done in the past. And it used to be just a gathering of women. And a couple of years ago, that was really annoyed to the men because they weren't allowed, supposedly weren't allowed. And a couple of them were sneaking in. So we finally, but we had 2 different women from 2 different areas, but both worked for US Aid in different parts of the world, explained what they were doing. So that was fascinating. Dick spoke about his engineering experiences, which do not appear to be straightforward what you expect for engineering. And he's just had a lot of different things. So you can't go wrong here, to be perfectly honest. It's really a great, great place. Anything else?
Well, it's on the easy side of things. You can be as involved as you want, or if you need to be able to back off because it's a time when you just don't have that kind of energy or other things are going on. There is that sort of flexibility where if you're in a single home by yourself, or even in an apartment house and that's close to other people, you have to invent a lot of that. And at least here you get the boost of people who are involved things. So sometimes you can be low gear on it, and sometimes you can then help take over and be in a high gear part of it. So that flexibility, the financial support that you can rely on because of the way that it's managed is just takes a lot of things off your mind and worry out of that and enjoy life.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sheila and Dick. And we've got a lot of questions lined up here for you. So I'm going to dive right into them. There is a question now on the wait list and how long you were on the list before being offered an apartment. I know that's different for everybody, but Dick and Sheila, you mentioned that you had a wait time of about 7 years. Did you? And
They originally said 7 years. It was closer to 5.
Closer to 5. So it does vary, and it's hard to always predict. But I guess the question that maybe you can answer, and I know Sheila and Dick, you had a great solution. You actually went and decided to just go into an apartment for a while so that you could pivot really quickly when offered an apartment. But do any of you other participants have an idea of how kind of waiting? What did you do while you were waiting for the call? Any techniques that helped you out?
Well, this is Pam. I wasn't really waiting for the call. I had moved, as I mentioned, I had already downsized from DC to Rockport, Massachusetts. And I loved it, but like Bonnie and Carol was saying, I knew I really needed to make a plan at some point. And my daughter lived in Salem, Mass, and I didn't want to, leave everything on her shoulders. And I'm also pretty independent. So, it came at the right time. And I moved, it was about 4 years, and I thought, you know what? I got the call, and I thought, I think I'm going to take the leap. So that's what it was for me, about 4 years. I wasn't making a concerted plan exactly to move here. Just sort of, it was wonderful. And I'm really so glad I did.
That's great.
Our experience was a little bit different. We had been told, we applied to live in a cottage, and we had been told to expect a 5 to 8 year wait, which felt perfect at the time. And suddenly, after 2 years, we received a call saying that a cottage was coming available. Could we be interested? So our lives turned upside down very suddenly. We had not anticipated moving that quickly. As Carol mentioned, in the midst of all of this, she took an unfortunate fall and was very badly injured. And we had a decision to make. We decided to proceed. The moves are always, I think, miserable. And this one was no exception. It's a pain in the neck to move, but I'm glad I did it when we did it. I can't imagine, had I waited another 5 years, what it would be like to move. It would have been even more difficult. But we survived the move, and RiverWoods was so helpful in moving in. For the first time in my life, I never had to hang a picture. There were people to assist with whatever. When I hang pictures, I find a spot on the wall and I put the picture there. When RiverWoods helps, they come with a level, with all
Yeah.
things that are done seamlessly, walls are not cracked, they're marked. Anyway,
I'm going to interrupt for a second because I think it's important to call out the people that were involved before you get to the property. There's a staff of people, so I won't call out any of the individuals, but that work with you on every detail about your move. I mean, it was remarkable, including bringing you lunch on the first day that you're moving. So, they have really thought it through. I mean, you learn by experience. So they have 35 years of experience of people moving into facilities, but I've never seen anything as helpful and as professional as what we experienced. It really took so much of the pain and the burden out of that whole process.
But you do need to be flexible, and you always have the ability to decline the offer of admission if you wish. We actually did decline once, and surprisingly, they came back shortly thereafter, and we decided to jump because of the location of the particular cottage, and we knew it could literally be years before an opportunity like that presented itself again. So you do need to be flexible. It's a little bit like winning the lottery. You're never quite sure when it's going to happen, but when it does, you begin to move fast. And as Carol indicated, they couldn't be more helpful in planning, in introducing you to resources that can facilitate it. But, moving is something that you simply need to brace yourself for, because in our experience, it's never an easy experience. But in this case, quite worthwhile.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask, I know all of you are active in a lot of the committees and activities around here at RiverWoods, but I'm going to ask Sheila and Dick this question. What strategies did you use to find other residents who had similar interests to you when you arrived? Was there anything you had to do strategically, or was it easy enough to do?
I don't know. When we first moved in, someone had said to us, don't make any decision for the first year. Look around, see what's happening. And of course, then COVID hit. So that's messed up everything. And then someone asked me if I'd like to be on the charitable funds. And I really didn't know exactly what that was. And I went. The people there were very pleasant and welcoming. So it seemed like, well, this is a good idea. And then the welcoming committee, when we first got here, they had a big welcoming committee, but it wasn't terribly involved. So when I realized we had one here at Boulders, I decided that we needed to get involved, and we have been. And as soon as we get the name of someone, and we've had 3 within the last couple of months, someone else on the committee has put together a whole, I think it's 6 pages of information. And I have a tendency to send it out to them before they move in, not to overwhelm them, but just to give them an idea of some of the things that are available. And they all seem to have enjoyed that. And then when they get here, we go out, we ask them to have dinner with us, and we can do that with anyone who's, especially the new people. But they now have something in our dining room. I don't know whether it's in the other 2, but it's a little stand-up thing. It's called a tree. And if you go down to dinner by yourself and you'd like to have dinner with someone else, you put the tree on your table, and someone comes in by themselves and sees the tree, and you get to expand some of the people that way. And I'm not sure how I got onto the events committee, but I'm on it. And but it's again, it's a nice group of people. So you've gotten involved in a couple of.
We had a photography committee that was here, and it's still in name only, but technology has changed over these few years, where before we'd go out, take pictures, we even would schedule some times to pick a particular place in southern New Hampshire, or maybe even go into one of the museums when we could get a permission to go in and take pictures there. So that was encouraging for a bunch of us who were into photography at all. That has grown significantly, but then technology has gotten into the way of all of that. So we are now having to change ourselves as photographers on how we are gathering stuff and then presenting it. So it is easier to do it and more challenging also to have that connection with other people to do that. That's one of the encouragements I would suggest to anybody, even if you weren't, residing in here and you wanted to find a bunch of people who knew a lot of good stuff about photography, you'd have to send them over to RiverWoods in their campuses, because there's a lot of talent there that they're going to share. You're in a community of like people in a sense, but you're also in a place where you're going to get challenged in different ways so that you never go stale. You have always got something that will encourage you to think about, whether it's a book or whether it's a movie, and have a discussion about it, or invite somebody over. There are some times when I say I'm overdoing it, but that's much better to have that as a choice to deal with instead of what am I going to do now? There's plenty to do all the time, and at very high quality.
Great. Thank you, Dick. Sheila? This question is about, if you're moving from far away and you have to connect with new doctors, she talking about the local core group in Exeter Hospital. I don't know, Pam, did you have to change doctors when you moved from Rockport?
Yes, I mean, I might have kept one or two, but yes, you do. And that is hard. But, I'd already done it once again, I'd had long-term doctors, and when I moved to Rockport, I did that. So, yeah, it's tough, but they're awfully good here. And that core and of course, the hospital that Bonnie mentioned, I think it was Bonnie, wasn't it, that she was on the board? I mean, it's fabulous. It's couldn't be better. So I've changed most of my doctors here, and it's only been a little over a year, so I'm just getting to know them. But I was just at one the other day, and he gave me all sorts of new thoughts of things about staying strong. And so, what can I say? It's not easy, but it's just one of those transitions that you do, and it takes a little time.
I will mention that we always have a nurse available.
Oh, that's a good
5
point.
days a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
And well, actually, it's a nurse practitioner and a registered nurse who work together. And 5 mornings a week, they hold time for people to go down, ask questions. When we first got here, we'd had doctors in Boston forever. And we asked the nurse practitioner, and she gave me a list of doctors, and I started calling.
Right.
Been very pleased with CORE.
Yeah.
So that, but I think the doc we have is no longer taking patients, but they have expanded, so there are a lot more doctors now there. So
Sheila makes a very good point. I think that the wellness clinics in each of our 3 campuses in Exeter are very important, and the staff there, the nurse practitioners, are wonderfully responsive to residents, and they coordinate very well with local physicians. In addition to Exeter Hospital, which of course is only a couple of miles away, and the core that we keep referring to is the providers group that is owned by Exeter Healthcare, that owned Exeter Hospital. Exeter, I think I mentioned, is now affiliated with Brigham Lahey out of Boston. And nearby, we've got in Dover, New Hampshire, the Wentworth Douglas Hospital, which is affiliated with Mass General Hospital in Boston, and they've got facilities in Portsmouth. So we have a local network of extraordinary healthcare service that is available, and very receptive. Exeter Hospital, because they are located in such close proximity to RiverWoods. They are particularly responsive to new residents moving in, needing to reestablish relationships. So it's easier than in a lot of places. And I say that having a home in Florida where I witness neighbors daily who are in search of new primary care physicians, and find it very challenging to find someone. So,
And I might
it's easier than in most places.
I might add, on a lighter note, there are wonderful vets here too.
True.
I'd second that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. In effort to end this program on time, we are going a little bit over. I know there are a lot of unanswered questions. I will make sure to record these questions and have somebody get back to you. We have our other sales counselors here, Lisa Clark and Dan Witham. They will reach out to you and answer any questions you might have. There is one question or suggestion from Margot, one of our participants on the program here, who suggested maybe having a buddy system of having residents get in touch with prospective residents or future residents before they even move in. Sounds like Sheila and Dick already do that, and I know a lot of our welcomers in each campus will reach out before you move in, but it is a nice idea. We're always willing to put you together with another resident to talk if you have any questions before you even move in. So that's a great suggestion, and we will, anytime you'd like to talk to another resident, just reach out to your sales counselor, and we will put you in touch with somebody who has an interest that you're hoping to talk about. But in the meantime, I want to thank all of our panelists here today, Dick and Sheila, Pam, Bonnie, and Carol. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and experiences and giving us over an hour of your day to talk to us. So thank you all for coming, and thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks, Chrissy.
you.
You were terrific. Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.